Shalom, what a beautiful, beautiful Santa Fe day. It's a little cold. I hope you're staying safe, both from the snow and the roads and from COVID. This week's Torah reading speaks about the laws of tort and civil laws. It runs the gamut of Jewish life, Jewish law, how to respond when you find someone struggling, when you see an animal struggling, what to do if you find lost objects, what if people have disagreements. It runs the gamut of Jewish life. It's called Mishpatim. Fascinating. For 3,000 years we've lived by these laws, we've existed by these laws, and in fact the world today has adopted many of these ways of thinking and many of these rules and laws and systems into their judiciary system. But what about the ones that are not mentioned in the Torah itself? What about all these nuances of laws, and especially new technology, which is not mentioned in the Torah itself? For that, we have a system of how to extrapolate laws from the Torah itself. Where do these systems come from? How do we know about the oral tradition, which is not listed in the Torah itself? So at the end of this week's Torah reading, Mishpatim, we read about the continuation of Mount Sinai. After the Torah was given at Mount Sinai, the Ten Commandments in front of 2 million Jews, Moses was told by God to come up to the mountain and continue studying all the nuances and all the laws which are not going to be listed in the Torah itself. He was there for 40 days and 40 nights, and then again for 40 days and 40 nights, and then again for 40 days and 40 nights, a total of 120 days. And God was teaching Moses the Torah. And that Torah consisted of many, many, many nuances of oral tradition which were not listed in the Torah itself. In fact, God gave Moses the code, how to continue to extrapolate rules and ideas and to contribute to the Torah itself. Because God wanted not only that a Torah should be given from heaven and that we should continue studying it and following its rules and rituals, but actually God wanted a partnership. He wanted to leave some open place that we could extrapolate and engage in the Torah itself. And therefore we have all the rabbinic laws, the beautiful rules which are not in the Torah itself, like the rules of the holidays which are not in the Torah, like Purim and Chanukah, rituals of washing our hands, making blessings on food, lighting Shabbat candles. All these are not in the Torah itself, but these are the parts that God wanted and wished that we engage in the extrapolation and contribution of a Torah based on the laws that were already given at Sinai. So if you haven't done so yet, take some time. It's a good time to, especially now that we're sitting in the cold, sitting home, staying home, hopefully staying safe, engage in understanding the nuances of Jewish law. How do we have these beautiful rituals? Where do they come from? What if there's arguments? How to resolve arguments? Where do the rabbis extrapolate so much of the oral tradition which in the Torah itself? It's a fascinating mosaic of Jewish law, 3,000 years. This Shabbat, we also had the privilege of having my dear brother-in-law, Rabbi Yankee Raichik, together with his family, my Devorah sister and brother-in-law and their children, from LA. Rabbi Yankee is a chaplain in the California prison system, guiding Jewish people in their needs. Unfortunately, there are Jews in prison, and he has fascinating stories from behind bars, which he's going to share at the Kiddush tomorrow in the synagogue. After we study some Kabbalah, 9:30, have some prayers, and we have a beautiful Kiddush. Hope you could join us there. Shabbat Shalom.